Stop scrolling, take a breath, because if this video found you right now, it's not random, it's not algorithm luck, it's not coincidence. Something is activating this week. And if you've been seeing 333 on clocks, receipts, license plates, random notifications, your timeline is about to split. Not metaphorically, energetically, spiritually, quantum level real. This isn't just another angel number message telling you everything is fine. This is deeper. This is about frequency alignment. And 333 is not just a cute spiritual wink from the universe. It's a trigger, a code, a signal that your current identity can't continue the same way it has been. Have you felt it? That strange restlessness, that pressure building under the surface, that sense that something is about to change, even if you can't explain what. Maybe your sleep has been weird. Maybe old memories are resurfacing. Maybe certain people suddenly feel distant. Maybe your goals don't feel the same anymore. That's not random, that's recalibration. Because when 333 starts repeating in your reality, it means you're standing at a decision point, a fork in the energetic road. One version of you stays in the familiar loop, the other steps into a higher timeline. And here's the intense part. Most people will see the sign and ignore it. They'll brush it off. They'll scroll past the shift. But you didn't. You're here. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact sign that confirms your reality is restructuring, and what you must do this week if you don't want to miss the split. Stay with me, because once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Let's get something clear right now. 333 is not just a number. It's not superstition. It's not imagination. And it's definitely not random. The number 3 has always represented creation, the triad, the foundation of reality itself. Mind, body, spirit, past, present, future, thought, emotion, action. Creation only happens when 3 forces align. Now imagine that energy tripled. 333, that's not repetition, that's amplification. It's like turning the volume all the way up on your reality. When 333 starts appearing repeatedly, it signals energetic acceleration. It means something inside you is syncing at a higher frequency. And when your internal frequency shifts, your external world must reorganize to match it. That's law. But here's where most people get confused. Reorganization doesn't feel peaceful at first. It feels disruptive. You might notice strange, hyper-real dreams, sudden waves of exhaustion for no reason, random emotional releases, anger, nostalgia, tears, people from your past texting out of nowhere, technology glitching around you, plans falling through unexpectedly. You think it's bad luck. It's not. It's frequency interference. When you rise energetically, anything misaligned starts vibrating uncomfortably. Old timelines begin destabilizing. Old attachments weaken. Old identities start cracking. And that cracking feels chaotic before it feels aligned. Because growth isn't gentle at first. It shakes loose what no longer fits. So if this week feels strange, intense, emotionally amplified, don't panic. You're not falling apart, you're recalibrating. And 333 isn't warning you, it's activating you. Now let's talk about what almost nobody explains. Timeline splitting. This is where it gets real. You're not living one fixed, locked-in destiny. You're living inside probability streams, multiple potential versions of your life existing at once. Every thought you repeat, every belief you reinforce, every action you take, collapses one possibility and strengthens another. That's how reality works. But here's the part most people never realize. Certain energetic frequencies accelerate that collapse, and 333 is one of them. When 333 activates in your field, it doesn't just send a message. It creates pressure. It forces a decision point. It pushes you toward alignment, or exposes where you're out of alignment. And that pressure feels intense, because now you have 2 versions of yourself pulling in opposite directions. One version wants comfort, familiar habits, familiar people, predictable routines. The other version wants expansion, growth, higher standards, a different environment. When 333 shows up repeatedly, it magnifies that internal tension. You may start noticing subtle but powerful shifts. Certain friends suddenly feel distant even if nothing happened. Old habits that once felt normal now feel draining. Your job feels misaligned, like you're shrinking to fit it. Your intuition gets louder, almost disruptive. You crave solitude, not because you're depressed, but because you're recalibrating. That's not you losing your mind, that's divergence. One timeline keeps you in the familiar loop. The other timeline demands evolution. And evolution doesn't ask for permission. It pulls you forward whether you feel ready or not. This is why things may feel unstable this week. Conversations feel different. Energy shifts quickly. You might feel emotionally detached from situations that used to consume you. That's the split gaining momentum, because once you see beyond your old identity, you can't fully return to it. And here's the truth. Comfort will try to seduce you back. Fear will whisper that change is risky, but growth will feel undeniable. This week, the split intensifies, not to scare you, but to clarify you. One version of you survives, the other version transforms, and 333 is the signal that it's time to choose. Here's the sign, and I need you to really listen. Because if this happens, your shift is confirmed. It won't come with fireworks, it won't come with dramatic music. It will come as a moment, a sharp, undeniable moment of clarity. It may hit you in complete silence while you're driving, showering, lying awake at night, or it may hit in chaos during an argument, a breakdown, a sudden unexpected event. But when it lands, you will feel it in your chest, a snap, a click, a line being crossed internally. And the realization will sound something like this. I can't go back. Not emotionally, not energetically, not spiritually. You'll look at something that used to feel normal, a relationship, a job, a behavior, a mindset, and it will suddenly feel foreign, heavy, misaligned. You'll think, how did I tolerate that? How did I shrink myself like that? How did I convince myself that was okay? That's not regret. That's awakening. That's the pivot point. That's the timeline sealing itself. Because once awareness expands, contraction becomes painful. And once you see the pattern, you can't pretend you don't. This is the moment many people panic. Because growth doesn't feel powerful at first. It feels like loss. Loss of familiarity. Loss of attachment. Loss of the old identity. You may grieve the version of you that accepted less. You may feel anger at yourself. You may feel temporarily alone. But understand this clearly. That discomfort is proof of expansion. The old version of you is dissolving, not because you failed, not because you weren't strong enough, but because you outgrew the container you were living in. And when a soul expands beyond its old structure, that structure must crack. That crack is not destruction, it's breakthrough. So if you experience that sharp clarity this week, that irreversible internal shift, don't fight it. Don't try to shrink back. That's confirmation. The split has happened, and the evolved version of you just took the lead. This week is different. Not because of hype, not because of trends, but because the creative frequency is amplified. 3 has always symbolized manifestation energy, the force of creation. When that energy triples into 333, it doesn't just suggest opportunity, it demands alignment. And here's the part most people misunderstand. Manifestation isn't about asking, it's about matching. You don't attract what you desperately want. You attract what your identity is calibrated to receive. That means if you want abundance but operate from fear, you match scarcity. If you want love but operate from insecurity, you match inconsistency. If you want power but operate from doubt, you match limitation. 333 doesn't respond to wishes, it responds to vibration. That's why this week feels intense. The energetic mirror is stronger. It's reflecting back exactly who you are, not who you're pretending to be. So if 333 keeps appearing, don't just smile and move on. Pause and ask yourself, what version of me is trying to emerge right now? Is it the version that speaks up instead of staying silent? The version that sets boundaries instead of overgiving? The version that disciplines itself instead of procrastinating? The version that detaches from what drains it? The version that stops playing small? Because 333 is rarely about comfort. It's about construction. And construction is messy. It's loud. It disrupts your routine. It tears down unstable structures so stronger ones can be built. When a building is being rebuilt, it doesn't look beautiful at first. It looks chaotic. Pieces scattered, noise everywhere, dust in the air. But underneath that chaos is design, precision, upgrade. This week, your internal architecture is shifting. Beliefs are being challenged. Standards are being raised. Tolerance for misalignment is shrinking, and that can feel uncomfortable. But discomfort during construction is not destruction. It's elevation. So if life feels louder this week, if emotions feel amplified, if clarity feels sharp and unavoidable, that's not random. That's alignment recalibrating in real time. 333 isn't here to soothe you. It's here to rebuild you. And once the structure stabilizes, you won't recognize the old version of yourself anymore. Now this is the part that matters most, because seeing 333 means nothing if you don't respond correctly. So when you see 333 this week and on a clock, a receipt, a random notification, do this immediately. Pause. Not for 5 minutes, not for a ritual, just a few seconds. Pause. Breathe slowly and observe your thoughts. Because whatever you're thinking in that exact moment, that's the doorway. 333 magnifies intention. It acts like an energetic amplifier. It doesn't judge what you're thinking. It strengthens it. If you're spiraling in doubt, it magnifies fear. If you're replaying insecurity, it reinforces limitation. If you're focused on possibility, confidence, and vision, it amplifies power. That's why awareness is everything. Most people see repeating numbers and feel excited, but they never check their mental state. They never realize they're unconsciously strengthening the very pattern they're trying to escape. This week you can't afford autopilot. 333 is a mirror. So when it appears, ask yourself, what am I feeding right now, fear or expansion? And here's the deeper layer. You may feel a sudden pull to cut something off, a toxic cycle you've been tolerating, a draining conversation, an outdated belief about your worth, a habit that keeps shrinking you. It might not be dramatic. It might just be a quiet internal knowing, this doesn't fit me anymore. Trust that pull, because hesitation keeps you anchored to the lower timeline. Overthinking is comfort disguised as caution. Action, even small action, shifts your trajectory. You don't need a massive leap. Sometimes the shift is internal, a boundary you decide to enforce, a standard you decide to raise, a thought pattern you decide to interrupt. The moment you choose differently, you collapse the old probability and activate the upgraded one. That's how timeline shifts happen, not through magic, through alignment. So when 333 shows up this week, don't just notice it, use it. Lock in the higher thought, make the uncomfortable decision, take the small step, because small aligned actions, repeated, create irreversible momentum. And once momentum builds, the old timeline can't hold you anymore. Now I need to say this clearly, and I need you to hear it without fear. Not everyone survives a frequency upgrade. And I don't mean physically, I mean energetically. When your vibration rises, when your standards elevate, when your awareness expands, everything that cannot match that frequency begins to fall away. Not slowly, not politely, but naturally. Some relationships won't come with you, not because you hate each other, not because there was betrayal, but because alignment shifted. You may notice conversations feel forced, energy feels heavy, silence feels louder than connection. That's not cruelty, that's contrast. Some opportunities will dissolve. Plans you were excited about may suddenly collapse. Doors that looked promising may close unexpectedly. Paths you thought were meant to be may disappear, and your first reaction might be panic. Why is everything falling apart? But here's the truth most people don't understand. When you upgrade energetically, anything built on your old identity cannot sustain itself. If you built a relationship while you were insecure, if you chose a job while you were afraid, if you accepted treatment while you believed you deserved less, then when your frequency shifts, those structures destabilize, not as punishment, as pruning. A tree must shed weak branches before it can grow stronger ones. If it tries to carry everything forward, it collapses under its own weight, and you are no different. This is the part where many people retreat, because shedding feels like loss. It feels like rejection. It feels like instability. But instability during expansion is normal. When a snake sheds its skin, it is vulnerable for a moment. When a building is renovated, it looks chaotic before it looks upgraded. When muscles grow, they tear first. Growth is disruptive. And if your life feels unstable this week, emotionally, socially, professionally, don't immediately label it as failure. Ask a better question. What is being cleared because it can't follow me? You're not breaking. You are branching, and branching requires space. Old illusions may shatter too. You might realize someone was never who you thought they were. You might realize you are settling. You might realize you are playing small to keep others comfortable. That clarity can sting. Because illusion is comfortable, truth is sharp, but sharp truth creates clean cuts, and clean cuts heal faster than slow decay. Listen carefully. If something leaves your life during a frequency upgrade, it means it was attached to your old timeline, and clinging to it would pull you backward. This is why the warning matters. Don't chase what's exiting. Don't beg what's fading. Don't rebuild what the universe is dismantling. Let it fall. Let it clear. Let it expose the space that's opening. Because on the other side of pruning is precision. On the other side of shedding is expansion. On the other side of instability is strength. And the strongest version of you is not built by keeping everything. It's built by releasing what no longer matches. So if this week feels intense, if emotions rise unexpectedly, if certain connections drift away, if plans rearrange themselves without your permission, pause before you panic. Zoom out. Upgrades are uncomfortable, but they are necessary. You are not losing your life. You are losing the version of it that can't sustain your next level. And that is not destruction. That is evolution. You're not breaking. You are branching. And branches grow toward light. So if you see 333 this week, don't ignore it. Don't laugh it off. Don't screenshot it and scroll past it like it's just another aesthetic coincidence. Pause, breathe, choose, align. Because your timeline is responding in real time. This isn't delayed. It's not someday. It's not years from now. It's now. Every thought you entertain, every boundary you tolerate or enforce, every decision you delay or act on, is collapsing one version of your future and activating another. One path keeps you small, safe, predictable. It keeps you explaining yourself, second-guessing yourself, settling quietly. The other path? It stretches you. It demands discipline. It demands honesty. It demands courage. But it also expands you beyond recognition, beyond the limits you once accepted, beyond the identity you once defended, beyond the fears that used to control you. And the split, it's not coming. It's happening. Right now. This is the moment where awareness becomes responsibility. Because once you see the pattern, you can't blame coincidence anymore. Once you feel the pull, you can't pretend you're confused. Once clarity hits, you can't shrink without feeling it. That's why this matters. 333 isn't here to entertain you. It's here to wake you up, to remind you that you are not stuck. You're choosing. Choosing through attention, choosing through reaction, choosing through alignment. And if this message hit something deep in you, if it felt less like information and more like confirmation, that's your signal. Not fear, not hype, recognition. So here's what I want you to do. Comment below, 333 activated. Not for the algorithm, for you. Because when you declare awareness, you anchor it. You tell your mind, your body, your energy, I'm not staying on autopilot anymore. And remember this, you didn't find this video by accident. You felt it, you clicked it, you stayed. And that alone tells me something powerful. Your higher timeline is already calling you. The only question left is, will you answer?